All right, I'm going to introduce Terrence here. I think we're probably close to halftime. Does that sound right, Brian?
Yeah, 30
Close.
seconds.
33 seconds.
I'm gonna go ahead and jump in. That's close enough. We probably got some guys joining us now. Um, I can't tell you all that are with CFOA online here how fortunate we are to have Terrence Miles as a friend of our association. He worked his way up through the ranks with us, and now he's an NFL back judge, and just the perfect personality to help us learn more from the game. And he's always willing to get back to us when he's not busy training NFL officials. We've had about 3 years now where he's been able to join us. I sometimes feel guilty taking advantage of his time, but Terrence, thank you so much for joining us. I put on the agenda tonight pass interference plays, and for the membership that's listening in, Terrence hasn't seen these plays, so he's seeing this raw with you. And I will share with you all, I collect game film from the Denver Metro Area Association in Colorado Springs, and I'd say about a third of the comments I get from coaches, they want to know why this play is pass interference or why this play is not pass interference. And I don't respond because I'm not going to win that battle. I think we as officials and coaches could probably spend an entire season trying to understand what the right call or wrong call is on pass interference. And fortunate for us, Terrence has got a lot of experience in this category. And so, Terrence, if you don't mind just sharing what comes to your mind when you see some of these plays. And with that, if you want to open with anything you want to share with us, microphone's yours.
No, I'm all good. Let's just watch these plays, see what we can learn from them. You know, you always just got to think from a pass interference standpoint. I mean, it goes both ways. I mean, I think when we say pass interference, we're always just thinking defensive pass interference. But, you know, you also got to think about the offense as well. I don't know how much of that you guys see, but it's just advantage, disadvantage both ways. So,
all right, we've got offense in white. I think this might be an 8-man game. Obviously, pass interference is an issue in the 8-man games, just like it is in the 11-man games. So, what comes to mind at the end of this play, Terrence?
So you said the offense is in white. Now, when I'm looking at this play, the defender is underneath the receiver. Did we call defensive pass interference on this play?
I don't remember if a flag comes out here. It looks like he's reaching for his flag right here. Let me see if I can slow this down. Nope, he left it alone.
Okay, I mean, that would be the first thing that I'm looking at is that, I mean, the defender is underneath the receiver. So I can't tell where, I mean, on the video I'm looking at here, I mean, it looked like the defender is playing the ball and he's underneath the receiver. And the receiver's going over the top of the defender's back from what I'm looking at here. So, I mean, you just got to think from a pass interference standpoint. I mean, we would want to have that. If you're thinking defensive pass interference.
No, I assume they're wanting to flag the offense. I probably got this from the defensive team, and he's saying, why is this not an OPI?
Okay, so but see, my whole point is, I mean, you got to look at position of the players. I mean, that's the first thing, like I said, when I started talking about this, the defender is underneath the receiver. So in my mind, how is he going to pass interference from a defense standpoint? The first thing I would be thinking about would be OPI. And then it looks like to me, this receiver goes over the back of this defender. So just switch the roles. Let's just say the white was the one on defense. I mean, I clearly have him going over the back if that blue team was the offense. Does that make sense?
It does. And I'm going to put a disclaimer on this, Terrence. Pass interference, you're talking to like a first-year official with me. I have no idea how to judge pass interference. And the guys that I work with, they don't even listen to me if I make a comment on pass interference. So I love just talking through. So I am such an amateur at pass interference. You like an OPI call on this. and my thought, if I were to debate this, is the offensive player going for the football, and it just happens to be that the defensive player is in his way.
Yeah, but I can't climb up his back. The defensive player has just the right opportunity to the ball as the offensive player does. So if I go over his back, like I said, just flip the roles. Just put in your mind, just say, hey, let's make the white team, if they were on defense and the blue team was on offense, I mean, we would throw that all day for DPI because he's going over his back.
You're putting it in a category, right, Terrence? That's what you're saying, right? So the pass interference categories are the same plus some more for OPI, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'm not clear, I mean, just tell me. I just want you guys, the first thing you got to think about when there's pass interference, just think about positioning. And we always used to tell ourselves, and I still say it, a lot of times when they're beat, they're going to cheat. And I'm just taking it from a defensive standpoint now. Think about all the defenders when they're out of position or they have bad position. Hey, if they're beat, they're going to cheat. So the first thing I always think about is positioning. Who's in the position to catch the ball and who's not? Who's in a bad position? To me, on this play, it looks like the defender is in the best position to catch the ball, and the offensive guy comes through his back and over the top of him. And like you say,
how else is the offensive player supposed to get to the ball?
Well, it's not
he's playing the ball
thrown, right? I mean, but I think the one thing, and we're finally getting a little better at it at our level, but you got to think about the offense can pass interference as well. I think whenever we talk about pass interference, we just automatically think defense, but it works both ways. And like you said, well, how is he supposed to get to the ball? Well, I mean, excuse my French, but it's a shitty pass that he throws underneath. That's not the defender's fault.
Right.
That you have a bad pass. And so, I mean, I don't think the guy can climb over his back. I wish we had, another angle kind of zoomed in, but, if you're just looking at from what we're seeing here, I mean, he comes over the back of that defender, but I wish we could zoom in a little bit on the play, but this is the only shot you have, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and we always hear the coaches or other people say, he was playing the ball. He was going to the ball, and the contact was a result of him playing to the ball. I see, again, I'm kind of playing the devil's advocate here. I think I've got a flag on this. But again, just trying to have you talk through some things. Why couldn't the argument be that the offense is going to go up to get the ball right here? I mean, what would you coach this offensive player in this moment to do? You're not going to just let him catch the ball.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I mean, he can't. I mean, he's going for the ball, but I still can't go through your back now to get to the ball. I mean, it's all the rules that we deal with anything. It's advantage, disadvantage, right? All the rules across the board, not pass interference, whatever. It's just advantage, disadvantage. But so if you're in position and I'm going for the ball, but if I go through your back or through you to get to the ball, that still doesn't make it right. That's still, you're putting me at a disadvantage from getting an interception.
Right. All right, we're going to move on.
Does anybody else? I mean, like you said, Kurt, you're an amateur supposed to be at pass interference. I mean, is there any other feedback from people that are downfield at the skill positions that see this, what I call?
You know what, Terrence? I'm not going to open up the lines,
okay.
We won't get anywhere. We want to learn what you got in your head. I want you to share, and I'm going to ask the idiot questions so that I'm going to ask the questions that the kid in the back of the room is not paying attention asks.
Okay, no problem. I'm good with that.
All right, what do we have here? A deep route.
I'll say now run back on this one, right? And remember what I was talking about earlier. if the defenders are beat, right, you know, they're going to cheat is what we always used to say.
Right.
I mean, right now, I mean, he has a step on him. I wish we had better footage here in video, but I can't tell where, you know, his head is looking or any of those other things, which, you know, both play a part in what we do as far as ruling pass interference. It's just kind of hard to tell from the video here. We're so far away.
Yeah, and I don't have a lot of real crisp video. And actually, a lot of them, you don't see the action until like right before the ball gets there, so you can't see a lot that's going on. So I tried to grab somewhere we had a little bit more. So talk through this. This probably is a fairly common situation though, where the receiver in white is turning around. The defenders, he sees the ball probably right there. Maybe feels contact by the offense and then decides to go up and block. Yeah, I can hear you, Terrence.
Sorry, I lost you for a second. It was my fault. Say, repeat what you were about to say.
Well, this seems like a fairly common situation where, again, the ball's underthrown a little bit. The defender was playing the ball. The offensive player slows down. The defensive player's got a body into the receiver's body. Arm goes up. Flag comes out.
Okay.
Anything you would talk through with us on what you're looking for here, or is this one just blatantly obvious there was contact before the ball got there?
I mean, as the ball's getting there, I see the contact at the same time. I mean, I can't, I mean, can you guys tell if that defender is he looking back towards the ball? Is he just into the man? I can't see on my video. I mean,
he looks back and then takes his eye off the ball once he feels contact.
It's just hard for me. It's hard for me to tell on that video.
Let's see if we can get a clearer video here of another play. So they throw a flag on this.
Okay.
And I believe it's the defender pushing off the offensive player.
Okay, so let's just talk this through. Hold advantage, disadvantage again. Right now, they're both looking at the ball, playing the ball. So if we call pass interference, defensive pass interference, pushing the receiver, just watch the body motion of the receiver. Is there real like displacement? Does he do an overt act that's just kind of out of character? When I see this, I don't notice that. I mean, they're both just going up to play the ball. In my opinion, I don't see an overt push or act by that defender.
And I think what's tough is that wing is probably straight lined on this, which
I don't think that warrants enough for pass interference, defensive pass interference. I mean, I need to see, like I said, more of a push or displacement. I don't see anything in there. I mean, that guy is just looking back at the ball. They're both jumping up to go for the ball. I mean, we want a real disadvantage in a situation like that. And I don't know if, you know, your guys' rule book has kind of broken down the pass interference categories or not. I don't know. I mean, does it say like playing through the back or not playing the ball? Do you guys kind of break it down in that aspect at all or no?
I'd have to rely on one of our back judges to answer that.
Or
I
just
don't believe
anybody.
so, though.
No? I mean, that's kind of a good thing. If you can put the pass interference in a category, and if it doesn't fall into one of those categories, I mean, playing the probabilities, you're probably best not calling it. But if you can put it in a situation where, say, A, he's not playing the ball, or B, he goes through his back, or it's early contact, or he grabs his arm. I mean, if you can add it in one of those categories, then you probably have a foul. But if you can't describe and put it in one of those categories, don't call it. I mean, and that goes across the board, not just pass interference. You can do the same thing with holding and everything. If it doesn't fall in one of the categories of grab and restrict, or he hooked the guy, you're better off not calling it. So where are we at now?
Yeah, similar to holding, we've got the same lineup, and I'm pretty sure we have a similar for PI. So here's another play where it's obvious the receiver in white is trying to come back to the ball, and then the defender can't slow down and runs into him.
So what was one of the first things that we talked about earlier? If you're beat, you're going to cheat, right? Or you get out of position, then you're in desperation mode, right? And this guy, I mean, he's way beyond that defender. And so that guy's just running desperate, trying to get to it. That receiver's entitled to that spot on the field, and he just runs right into him. He doesn't even know where the ball is, the defender, and he just collides right into him.
Yeah.
And so if I'm putting that in a category, that would be not playing the ball.
It's interesting you're referring to the defender in green here. He is beat. He's beat by a long ways, and he's in chase mode trying to catch up and creates the problem, creates the contact. Yeah. I think that's the same one. Let's see what we got here.
Is that helping, Kurt? Am I going into too much detail? Or
No. I just, again, I want you to watch this and I know it's tough with the video.
Let's go back to the line feed again. Barry, go back to the snap. Yeah.
Let me get back here. All right.
So we're at the top of the screen.
Yep.
Another fade route here. So in that situation, I mean, it looks like the defender just had, good position. He jumps up to catch the ball. I don't see anything that jumps out like that last play that you compare this to the last play we just watched. There's nothing that stands or jumps out from this video angle that we're watching in my mind that would warrant a foul. And if you look, the receiver is looking, or not the receiver, the defender is looking back in as the ball is coming in as well. He has just the right to that ball as the offensive player does. I don't see anything that jumps out to me.
Yeah, this is obviously a coach sent this and said, you guys are horrible. How can you screw up calls like this? And what's difficult, we always talk about, mechanically, where are we? Are we in the best position? This back judge is seeing everything he needs to see on this. I don't think this wing official really has the information he needs to make this call.
So let's talk that through then. So how does that play out? Let's say if I am the back judge and you're the line of scrimmage guy coming down throwing on this, and you saw in your mind, hey, that looked like a pretty clean play, and the wing guy throws a flag, I need to come over and talk to you and just say, hey, what do you have on this play? Because I can't assume that you're calling pass interference. I assume so, but I want to ask you what you have.
Right. Maybe he's got him out of bounds and coming back in bounds or something else. Maybe there's some other flag on there.
Figure out what he has first. And then from there, that dialogue just goes, hey, man, I have the best angle and shot of this. And this is where you would have to step up and say, hey, there's nothing on here. It looks like he runs over to him. He actually does. So he does a good job of doing that, coming in. Was the flag picked up? Do you know?
Let's see. Nope. And that's the tough part. You bring in some new information to somebody that threw the flag. There's some crow you got to eat when you pick up that flag, and I think it's really tough for officials to do so. And I know, we've got officials at different levels, guys that have been doing it for years, and then newer officials, and it's tough to overturn a flag. And you certainly can't throw this late. But that's a dynamic that we all struggle with, and I don't know if you guys struggle with that at the NFL level as well, calling somebody off of a flag.
If you've never said that's happened to you, or Anything? I mean, you haven't been doing this long enough, or you're lying. I mean, we struggle with it. But what's the whole purpose of us being out there? Is to get each play and every play correct to the best that we can, right? So, I mean, at some point you got to say, hey, I got to leave my ego in the car. And hey, if I missed something, I missed it. Our job is to get the plays correct.
Okay, here we've got an out route. Really looks, and I know you guys talked about not using the word bang bang. Us umpires, we understand what that means, bang bang. Or it's just like, hey, the contact was too close to the time the ball got there. And I know the video is probably hard to see timing wise, but I just see no foul here.
I mean, if we have to slow it down frame by frame to see it, you don't want to make it a foul, because we can't slow it down frame by frame on the field. And so, to your point, I mean, you're exactly right, Kurt, that, I mean, if the ball's arriving and the defender, your best staying away from that. And on that play, it looks like it to me.
So, again, Terrence, I'm going to ask the stupid question.
Go ahead.
Contrast this with the play that we started with, where you were saying in that case, it was the offensive player going through the back of the defender. In this case, you've got the defender going through the back of the receiver to get the ball, simultaneous with the ball getting there. How is this one different? To me,
Well,
it does look different, but why?
Because I think they're both going for the ball. Well, I shouldn't say that, because they were both going for the ball in the other play. It's just the other play was clear in my mind that there was, let's say, a second or two from a framework standpoint where the contact happened. In this play, I just see the balls arriving the same time as the contact is. And that first play, I clearly thought the offensive guy was climbing over the top of the guy's back before the ball got there.
Okay.
And it's just something that you have to just, I mean, see over and over. I mean, just thousands of plays of watching it to where you can just kind of tell. But I mean, on this play, the ball's arriving just as the defender goes up, boom, right? I mean, that's all simultaneous. Versus that other play, I mean, he's clearly, in my mind, and just, I mean, I've seen a lot of plays, but I mean, he just climbs over his back early. I mean, it's clearly earlier contact in that play versus the other one. I don't know if that helps. And it's just, I hate to say it, but it's just a repetition deal of seeing these plays, Yep.
And you can see the coach at the bottom of the screen. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Let's see what we got here. Oh, that's not in the right category.
You got any pass interference plays that are down on the lower part of our screen, or what?
Oh, here, Terrence. Here's what, and this is probably not something. So what we're looking at here is up here. You see where the umpire is on the screen? 49 is.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a rerouting issue, and I know you guys have a rule that's different than ours. We don't have any contact zones and 5-yard things, and so this came to me. You can see the linebacker blow up a crossing route across the middle here. 49 knocked him off his route intentionally, actually knocked down our umpire. And so we've had some debate about rerouting, and I don't know that we want to get into this because you guys have your own set of rules here, but this is something we've got to study a little bit harder as well, because I think teams are taking advantage of rerouting receivers coming across the middle.
So you guys, so what, I mean, tell me what the rule is, or?
We don't have a rule. We've got a philosophy that, if the receiver is downfield beyond the defender, you can't knock him off his route. In this case, the defender could argue, hey, I have a right to hit him because he still might be blocking. But this is just a headhunt to knock down that receiver.
That's a blindside block, Kirk.
And it's tough to, I'm not even sure. I don't know if he sees him, Brian. I think he might even see him. Or if he does see him, he's assuming he's not going to get lit up.
In either case, I think it's obvious he's not a blocker. And
Yeah.
we've got illegal use of the hands.
So would this be like what'd you say? This is a blindside block?
It's actually the signal is like holding.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that debate, but that was in my series, and I thought, geez, we could spend an hour talking about the rerouting question. All right, we're going into the end zone here, and I know we probably want to wrap this up here pretty quick. So here is kind of I assume the offense might even be running this to do a little bit of a pick play, but the defense got in the way on the other route, knocks the receiver off of his route. What do you think about this, Terrence?
I don't know.
And we don't have, just so you know, we don't have an uncatchable ball in high school.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Even though, there's a point where there's a natural tendency to leave something alone when it had no impact on the play. But the rule book doesn't support that.
I mean, it just looks like a bun to me. A bun is a big, ugly nothing. I mean, they just kind of running out in space and collide, I mean.
There was no intent.
Yeah, we call those buns. Big, ugly nothing. It just looks bad, but I mean, they just run into each other, just kind of out in space.
I'm sure the coach wants a foul on it because it looks like he interfered with the route. But I agree. I think I'd like to just leave this alone because it's just not. It was not intentional by any means.
And just because there's a collision of some sort doesn't always mean there's a foul. And I think that's just something you start to learn, as you start doing this and, progressing up through the JV and varsity and stuff. I mean, there's collisions out there a lot of times, but it doesn't mean it's a foul. You got to have, what's the intent of the rule? And there's got to be a visible material effect on the play to have a foul. We call pass interference on this?
Yeah, it's another one of those contact and ball about the same time.
Exactly. We're just not that good if that ball is arriving just as everything else is coming together. It's hard to make a living calling DPI when they all arrive together.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure there's some kind of time element where there's a delay in that situation.
I feel I got another good one here.
You're killing me with all these plays away from us,
Yeah.
You got any down in this side zone over here or what?
This is pretty grainy. Well, the problem when they're on the near side, the camera doesn't pick them up soon enough. The camera doesn't have the wide enough angle. I'll tell you what, Terrence, I think we've exhausted our window of time here. Let me just open it back up to you and what can you share with us from an officiating standpoint? We had Novak on the other day. It's always good to hear his voice and just how he looks at things. Every time we get together and listen to you, it's great to just pick up stuff. I'll never forget a couple of years ago when you said, you see the empty backfield? They're going to throw it pretty quick because there's nobody there to block for the quarterback. And that made me go, what the hell? Why wouldn't I think of that? How would I get this far in my career and not even think about the value of seeing that formation and knowing the routes would be shorter?
And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of what you're doing with this thing at halftime. It's just a matter of we got to discuss plays amongst each other and just talk about stuff. Because you may see something that I didn't notice, and I think it's it's good that you're doing this, and kudos to everybody that's logged on. I mean, taking a time out of your evening, from your families and all that stuff, just to try to get better. So I think, that's the great part about it. I mean, just if you get a little better every time you go out, just work on one little thing. And just it's like a building block. Just keep building off of that. And it all starts with just watching video and just talking amongst each other like this. I mean, I think that's all I would just say.
Well, we are fortunate and unfortunate to have such good video, or have so much video. I think I've always said that it's required us to get better at the high school level. No longer back when I started, you could screw it up and really get moved on because you forgot about it. One or two people know that you screwed it up, but now it's on YouTube and Huddle, and everybody gets to watch it over and over again how bad you screwed up a play. So it just causes us to have to continue to get better. Real quick, is there anybody that has a question for Terrence? If you do, raise your hand. If you got something Beltran wants to ask, this is going to be a good question. I know it is. So,
no, I know we talked about this a long time ago, and forgive me for not remembering a phrase on this, and we talked about it a little bit tonight. You don't use the term bang, bang. How is it you describe those plays again?
When the ball and the receiver and all that arrive at the same time, basically. Like I said, we had to get away from that whole bang, bang thing, Ken. But, I just say when they all arrive together simultaneous, and it's just, easier to just stay off of those type of things versus trying to dissect, he was there a frame earlier. You can't see that unless you're watching the video and slowing it down.
Simultaneous. That's the word I'm looking for. I don't know why I couldn't remember it.
Terrence, why'd you get rid of bang, bang? What was taboo about that?
I think it was a cop out for a lot of guys. If something was just really close, it was like, oh, it's bang, bang. Coaches got tired of hearing just bang, bang. So now when you just say, hey, it was simultaneous, coach. Your player and the defender, they all just arrived at the same time. They were more able to digest us saying that versus just bang, bang, because we were starting to get to a point where we were just stretching that bang, bang out more than it needed to be stretched out. So, and now that they realize we're not calling it like that, they understand when there's a play that's just kind of tight like that. Like, hey, that's the whole thing with the simultaneous. So, it's just, you'd be surprised. Just a change of a word can just change the perspective of anybody. It's amazing, or if you get into a situation where, you're talking, you may bring up a word with a coach that it's a coach terminology. If you're able to say that and relate that from an officiating standpoint, they seem to digest that and understand that more.
Terrence, you're giving your here's how I view that. When you say bang, bang, that tells the coach nothing. But if you say they were simultaneous, you're telling the coach you saw the ball and the players at the exact same time. And to me, that gives you credibility because you're being more accurate potentially with the coaches in what you're describing, right? So like if you're on the goal line, coach, I was on the goal line, that ball crossed the goal line. But if you're not on the goal line, you can't say that you saw the ball cross the goal line, right? Like it gives you credibility, in my opinion, is what you're saying.
That's a great point. That's exactly what I'm trying to say, Brian. If you get to the situation where what you're seeing on the field, if you can describe it to, like you said, the coach, or even, I challenge everybody to take it a step further. When you have a foul, and Kurt's heard me say this before, on your game card or whatever, just start writing down what the foul was, what you had. If you can put it into a category, and if you saw his right arm grab the defender before a ball arrived there, write down his right arm grabbed that. And so then you go back and look at the video and say, okay, did I actually see what I saw? If it was, oh, it was the damn left arm and not the right arm, then you can start improving on that. But when you're able to write down exactly what you saw and go back and watch the video and it's exactly what you put on there, that's when you're going to a whole nother level. And you can describe that to a coach. Hey, coach, he grabbed him with his left arm and twisted him prior to the ball arriving. If I tell that to a coach, just like you were saying, Brian, I mean, you describe that to him, he understands that, and he'll move on.
Good stuff.
I agree.
It's interesting. We're breaking down the word bang bang here, but there's power in this. And as Brian was talking through that, I'm realizing when you say bang bang, you're almost admitting that the game's too fast and you can't see it accurate. But if you say, I saw it simultaneous, you're saying, I'm good enough to see what happened, and here's what happened.
Correct.
That's probably all part of that, getting rid of the word bang bang. Another thing I want to share with those of you that are new to interacting with Terrence here, another piece I learned, I asked Terrence a couple times ago, I said, what allows you at the NFL level to slow the game down? Because we all, when we started officiating football, even at the high school level, or we did some youth ball, and all of a sudden you go to high school and it's just 100 mile an hour and you're trying to see everything and you don't end up seeing anything because you're trying to see it all. And Terrence's simple answer to me was pre-snap, pre-game preparation. All of that rolls into the game, slows down for you at the snap. Anything else you got for that, Terrence?
No, I'm big on just preparation. I think, I know it's kind of hard at this level, scouting teams and looking at stuff. But the one thing you guys can do, there's stats everywhere. You can kind of go and see who the big target players are, or, if they like to run the ball, what kind of formations are they running? Because I think a lot of times we miss stuff when we're surprised and we're not prepared. But if they're going to run this type of thing or do that, mentally it gets you in the right frame of mind. And then, another little trick too, when you're watching video, if there's a way, like on those little timers at the bottom, there's like the normal speed, and then there's like 1 times the speed or 2 times the speed or whatever. If you can like just switch that to like 1 time or 2 times and start watching the play and see if you can get your eyes to see the foul there or not a foul, that's another little trick or a hack that will help you start seeing stuff. Because when you go back down to the regular normal speed, you'll see it. It's just training your eyes and training your brain that way.
Thanks. Jerry, go ahead.
Terrence, thanks for being here again tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Can you run down your favorite categories of pass interference again? That was great when you were talking about those. Can you run down those again for us?
So the first one we have is early contact. Then the second one we have is not playing the ball. The other one is going through the back. The other one we have is an arm bar. And then we also have grabbing the arm. And then we also have cutoff. I don't know how much of those latter ones that you guys will see, but I know for sure you'll see the early contact, playing through the back, and not playing the ball. Those will pop up in every high school game for sure. Like I said, a lot of the other ones were like grabbing the inside arm or cutoffs. I don't know if you'll see much of that, but if you're able just to start hanging your head on those first 3 and work on those, and if it doesn't fall into one of those categories, don't call it. But if it does, call it and describe what you saw. Does that help you?
Yes, thank you, Terrence.
Yep.
All right. Well, anybody else got a question for Terrence? Otherwise, we'll let him get back to work. Probably preparing.
I'm in no rush. Y'all got questions, fire away.
Where are you headed this weekend?
Actually, we're off. This is our first break since the season started. This is our first break since the season started. So as long as nobody got hurt, I can be at home,
So do you, your season, does it include more than 1 week off?
Yeah, we actually have 2. So we got this week and week 16. or our 2 off weeks. So I look forward to those times.
Hey, we've got a JV game on Saturday morning. We could use some help. You available?
Sign me up. I'll do it for my association. I'll do it. The one exception, boy.
No, we just finished up our season, so we're starting the playoffs this weekend. So
There you go. Sign me up. I'll do anything for the association, right?
I know you would. I know you would.
I've been in that chair. I know.
All right. Well, I think we're going to call it a night. Terrence, thank you so much. We hope to have you back sometime, probably next year. Yeah, thank you.
All right, no problem, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Always like talking to you guys.
Take care. Good luck the
All
rest of the season.
Thanks.